I would.
Okay, let's do it.
But I really want to drink something. But
Do they have any water?
see if there's any water in the jar there. I think there is.
Ah, yes. Hello, Andrea.
Hi, Isabelle.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. My first question would be, we are wondering, when we were preparing for this interview with you, we were hesitating calling you an architect or a designer, because in fact, your work also involves a lot of design, and you have these tastes for design, and you also give advice to your clients. So how would you consider yourself, more as an architect or a designer?
I think maybe the easy answer, as I said, is to be both, because I could do both. I could do just some design job for a specific project, right? But I am an architect, so I have to call myself an architect if I have to choose between the two.
Okay, and what do you think being an architect helps you to do your job in a better way? Or do you think, because I think some designers might not have the architectural background, so what is this architectural background giving you as an edge in your profession?
Yeah, when you say my profession, I mean this kind of project, to design an interior space. You mean
Yes.
this? Yes. So basically, it does give me a little bit of, I think, I don't want to, but a little bit of advantage.
Okay.
Because being an architect, or study to be an architect, or so it give you also some other perspective, which is how to design the space, to how to move the space around. So not just decorating, not just changing material or refurbishing a place, but actually if you have a background of an architect, you can actually change the overall space of an existing space. So that is quite important, because when you go to any redesign space, it's nice to see new materials, new colors, new furniture, but if it's also the space change, it will totally feel different.
How would you introduce yourself?
Maybe a married man with 3 daughters who has found this design company. And I think maybe that's it. I think.
Wow. So first a family. And
probably I would say an artist as well.
An artist.
I wanna think that I can do a bit of art.
Can you just tell us about your company, like introducing us your company?
To describe the company, you have to read the name, because it's just that. It's a +1 studio. +1 means me plus you plus Daniela. So it's like there is no me. There is just a collaboration process between everybody constantly. So that's what I would like to say to my collaborators. There's me, you, the supplier, the engineering, the client, and so on. So we are open to any type of project that is involved designing. So we are doing, we are taking on a super small project like a logo design, for example, and we also design, industrial buildings. So we are very passionate about designing, and also executed, So we don't just design and give this to the client. We used to do it, but then we found out it's not so good, because you cannot control it, and then it becomes something else. So now if we do it, we're trying to finish all to the end.
So you offer a solution from A to Z, basically.
Yeah, I think so. We do digital designing. The graphic designers as well. So
Perfect. So now a question about when you got started to have your own company. How did it happen? How did you make this leap? How did you decide, okay, I'm ready for that? I want to tackle this in China and being my own boss and having my own company. So how did it happen?
Of course, everybody has a dream, to open a company by itself, himself. But I had to open it. I was forced to open it. This company to found this company because because the client had to pay me, and they couldn't pay me if I didn't have a company.
Okay, so that's how actually the client dragged you into it.
Because I was an employee, and I was an employee for a Chinese company, and I did some speech. I did some presentation to a pharmaceutical company, the biggest in China. We did some interior project for them. And a few weeks later, he called me. I don't know how he got my number. I mean, his manager called me, and the boss saw the presentation, so he called me. And I didn't understand Chinese, so I gave to at the time my assistant. Said, "What is talking about?" And then what he was saying on the phone that he wanted to give me without any bidding, which means any competition. They just want to give me this factory to design it. They wanted me to design this factory. So okay. So I decided to do it. But then when we signed, I did also sign the contract. And then, as I say, and I formed a team, of collaborators, means a few architects, because it was a huge project. It was a 100,000, more than 100,000 square meter. So we had to make sure they could pay us, and to do that, they cannot pay to a private bank account. So because of this, we had to register a company.
Wow.
So that's...
What happened in your mind when this opportunity arose? Like, what did you think at that point? How did you feel?
To be honest, I didn't have time because since that day, I never stopped working.
Wow.
So literally, yeah, maybe with the last year event, I was a little bit more relaxed, but we never stopped project after project. In China, you had the deadline, and there was 2 weeks, 3 weeks just to design a factory. So the relation, there's no time. You work, not necessarily overtiming, or let's say, late at night, not really, but every day non-stop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you move into a place and you can feel which type of material would be the best, and how do you choose actually in general which type of flooring will match the best project that you have?
Okay, there are a couple of things. Maybe the number one is the budget also, because of course you can go you can choose between very different materials. Some can be very extremely expensive, some less. So that's the budget of the client is also number one factor for an architect, because you cannot design something you're rendering and then it cannot be built because the budget is not allowed. So the budget, but also not only that, it's about the function. So if it's a commercial space, even not necessarily you have to use a very expensive material for the flooring in this case. So you have to choose the right material. Okay, so it can be, then you have to do your research, and then so if it's a commercial for a public space, public function, then you have to consider only few, cannot be so many. If it's an office space, it's different. If it's a private house, clearly it's a different one.
Okay, and the SPC flooring is kind of an innovative one. It's very recent type of flooring. So I guess it also gives you a new way of doing your work. So how does this maybe help, or what is your vision about this new innovative type?
I think architects in general, or designers, like to work with this material because it's very easy to work with. It's not. We use it for offices a lot. I mean, in fact, I don't remember any office project now that the client or we choose real wood, because it's just much more it's not so practical to use it. While the SPC flooring is giving us a lot more flexibility, also cost effective, and also durability. It's as strong as the wood, if not more. Maintenance wise, it's also better because with the natural wood, for example, we're talking about, I'm comparing the wood because with wood, for example, we take the more older it gets, and maybe in some spaces you like that kind of scratchy flooring. So, but in an office where usually only has a life in China, especially for 5 years, something like 4 years, because then usually they move out of the refurbishment. So that is a perfect material for us to use because it lasts all 4 or 5 years or 6 years. Well, it depends how they maintain it, but we like it to use it. And you can come, you can choose between different colors, different types, and so it's a very flexible for the designer. It doesn't matter which look do you want. If it's a concrete look
yes,
you can use it. If it's a very warm, cozy space and you want to use some warm color, so you can also choose between different options.
Yeah,
So we like
give you freedom. It gives you freedom of choice, and maybe as well in the long run, you might have less complaints, and your client will enjoy it for like several.
Yeah, that's true. The only thing your client has to do it is to keep it clean, of course, like any other floor. And this is also another good part or an advantage of this type of flooring, because you only need very few products to clean it, to keep it clean.
Okay.
So.
Thank you. And I saw in your all your adventures, I would say, because you are from Italy, and you have been in London, and now you are in Shanghai, and it's been a decade that you are in Shanghai, and you are your own boss. You have your own company, plus one studio, architects and designers. So what is the key of your success in China as a foreigner coming in a foreign country like China and succeeding in various projects? So what is your secret?
Thank you for this succeeding words. So thank you for that. I'm trying not to project all the attention to me. I rather to have everybody in my company to do their part, which they do, but also to the eyes of the client. So I don't want the client just look at me and say, one day I would like to, but at the moment it's still a little bit like this. So which means, I guess they kind of trust me. Okay, so they come to me directly. But also I think you need to be able to have good collaborators. And I think the one I have, they are quite good. So it's been a luck, but also you need to be patient with them. Because it's not easy sometimes to work so long. But I've been working with them for 4, 5, 6 years. Wow. So this is not very common. So usually they come and go.
For which type of project would you recommend the SPC tiles more? More,
okay, because it could be literally used everywhere to answer, but even in a house, in a private house. But more, I would say, is easy to answer because it's the commercial space usually is the best for this. For the reason I said before, because usually, they after a few years they want to change it, they want to move out. So I think this would be the best, I guess, for the commercial. But then also, I think F&B can easily go. Some coffee space or restaurant, bars also. But office space, certainly, right? You can also use it.
Okay, maybe some last questions. What do you enjoy being in Shanghai and working in Shanghai and having your own project and your life in general? What do you like about this?
I like that today we are doing this. So there's every day literally something that, and this is also thanks to us, right? That we have to. I think we have to think something every day, to just, otherwise we'll be very monotonous. And so every day or every week, let's say every month, no more than a month. You need to really reinvent something. You need to do, even for me, you, all of us, you need to, whatever field you're working, you need to try to bring something new to your company. So if I have no many projects, for example, for a while, I'm trying to do, okay, we with the company, we think something to do it, something that is not necessarily sit down on the desk, and trying to thinking about why there's no project doing now. So you need to. So this is, I think, this is also nice here, because in Shanghai I give you this opportunity to meet people and talking and know different things all the time.
Okay, and do you have any final words that you want to say?
No, well, just thank you for meeting you. It's nice always to talk to you and meet you. No, thank you also for this. So maybe, yeah, to show you are the first one to come here. Nobody hasn't seen it yet. So
yes, thank you for offering us the opportunity to see at first hand the beautiful Damarco, and because I have been here before and I'm here now, I can see how beautifully you blended the before style and the new modern face of Damarco, and I really love it.
no, thank you very much. I hope the client the customers like. Sorry, not the client. The client likes it.
I'm sure they will. Thank you.